Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP. I am your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here tonight to talk about the latest breaking news here about Big Brother Canada. It is now official that Big Brother Canada has ended. It will, at least for now, it is, the official account has tweeted out the show is over. Arissa has made a statement. There are no current plans, as far as we know, to continue the show. And so we figured we'd throw together a bit of a eulogy podcast to kind of celebrate the best of what Big Brother Canada was as we head into a reality where it no longer exists. So this is not like a podcast. This is not like an autopsy. We're not trying to figure out what went wrong. We're not trying to blame things here. That we've talked plenty about decisions and all of that stuff. This is about remembering Big Brother Canada and what it might have meant to us along the way. And so I've got some guests with me, and anyone is free to anyone that comes along that wants to share some stories will be free to join as well. But with me right now is Amon. How you doing, Amon?
I'm good. Definitely sad news. I feel like I was still sort of holding on a little bit of hope that we wouldn't be here. Only because we hadn't got an official statement from the show. We hadn't gotten an official statement from Arissa. But now that both of those things have happened, now I'm kind of oh, this kind of sucks. But, here to talk about it with all of you guys. So that'll help.
Yes. And also with us now is Puya. How you doing, Puya?
I'm doing good. It's never a fun time to be on a podcast with the word remembering at the beginning of it, because kind of like those days are over, but also there were a lot of good times that we're definitely going to be dipping into. So I love a good reminisce. I love a good nostalgia. So I think we're going to have a good time here, even though it's on a sad circumstance.
Yes. Kevin Jacobs wanted to be here, but was unable to make it. But he did make sure to say that he has already written some thoughts about the ending of Big Brother Canada over at realitytvnewsletters.com. If you want to get his full thoughts there. But yeah, I've just been thinking about, Big Brother Canada. It started in 2013. So it's been on for just over a decade now. And I remember when it started, I was in college, and I had no intention of watching it. Because I was I had no interest in watching international versions of Big Brother. The format was different. It was just not my thing. But I heard that the format was the same as the US, that it was actually like a competition, like strategic competition. I was like, okay, that's good for them. I still didn't really think I would watch it. But then I'm reasonably certain it was Rob as a podcast deciding to cover it, that made me okay, all right, RHAP is covering it. And then I heard they've got live feeds too, live feeds, US version of the game. I was like, all right, fine, I'm in. I actually I tried to track down the first RHAP podcast about Big Brother Canada, so hopefully you can hear this.
We cannot.
You cannot hear that. Okay.
Yeah. I was pumped.
That's all right. So Rob started covering it, and so I was like, all right, I'm in. I think I missed the first week of Big Brother Canada because I wasn't really thinking I would check it out. But then I started watching, and I saw Peter and Alec in the Shield. I saw Quattro. I saw the Twistos twists, and I was like, oh boy, this is This is interesting. I like it wasn't necessarily my favorite thing at the time, but it was like I was very curious. It was very intriguing. It was tough to dedicate so much time during a school year, but I found myself really into it. And then by the time season 2 hit, it was like, okay, they know what they're doing. Like this is really good. And so, from that point forward, really, it was like I was deep into it. What Amon, when did you find Big Brother Canada?
So I think I was about a year. I think I found it during season 2. So I've talked about it a bunch. I started watching Big Brother during Big Brother 15, which was the summer after my freshman year of college, 2013. So at that point, Big Brother Canada had already been around for a season or so. So, I did the whole thing when you find Big Brother, you watch the current season, you go back and binge all the other seasons. And when I found out about Big Brother Canada just through perusing Big Brother content on the internet. And so, yeah, I think I spent like a lot of that summer catching up on season 1 and then falling into season 2 and being like, yeah, like feeling similarly, like this is really, really good. I feel like they take risks that I haven't seen necessarily on the American version yet. I loved the host. Shout out to Arissa, as always, queen. I loved the characters. The cast immediately jumped out at me as being a bit more diverse, and just like you're just seeing different types of people. And they were going at it like season 2. Like season 2 had some fights, man. Y'all know I love some fights. So I was very, very very pleased to know that it was going to follow the American format too, because that made it easy to fall into. I remember trying to watch season 3 as it aired, but like at that point in time, I wasn't as well versed with strategies to watch shows internationally, so I was doing a lot of finding links, as we'll just say. And it was really, really hard. So I kind of fell out of Big Brother Canada for like the season 3, season 4 time. But like after I sort of got back into RHAP, that's when Big Brother Canada 5 was happening as I got into it. And so from Big Brother Canada 5 onwards is when I was like just like totally back in on Big Brother Canada. Just, all the things that people say about Big Brother Canada, I agreed with. So yeah, it was a fun time. It was a good time.
Yeah. Huya, what about you? How did you come to Big Brother Canada?
So I moved to Canada in 2011. I found Big Brother about a month after Big Brother 14 ended. The first season I watched was Big Brother 14, but it was right after the season had ended. Watched that, got obsessed that entire summer, watched I think about like 10 seasons in the span of 2 months. It was disgusting in the most amazing way. Then that winter, like a couple of months later, BB Can gets announced. It's happening. And I also wasn't sure if I was going to check because I wasn't like fully all in yet into the reality TV sphere. And I saw that they had a Persian on the cast. We have Tala on the cast. The name immediately stuck out to me. And I thought, we got a Persian? I'm watching this. And the rest is history. That's the one show that I can say with absolute certainty. Obviously, now with new shows coming out every like couple of years, there's a brand new franchise. I was in the ground floor checking that out. And then season 1, watched all of it. But at this time, still, I wasn't really watching feeds like that. Season 2 is when I started dipping into feed side of things. It's also when I found RHAP and started listening to all of the recaps. And I used to listen to RHAP Funny where I had spare time, nothing else to listen to. I would just go back to like season 1 recaps and just listen to those. Check out some of the interviews with some of the old house guests, see what they're saying. So I was about a year earlier than Amon, but we were in the exact same timeline. I was in my sophomore year of university when I got in like fully with RHAP in addition to it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you can hear this. Then this is hopefully you can hear. This is Rob's first Big Brother Canada podcast.
Hey, it's Rhap has a podcast, and now here's the guy who's a boot to talk about the biggest season of Big Brother ever north of the border. Rhap Sesternino. Hello, everybody, and we are ready to do something completely different. This is the first time ever we are podcasting about a non-U.S. reality show, and we're dipping our toe into the extremely frigid waters of Big Brother Canada.
Yeah. First time ever.
Yeah.
What a journey it was. Of course, Big Brother Canada also was the first time that I did a podcast for RHAP. That was my let me see here if I can potentially pull this up. My first appearance was on a Big Brother Canada 3, the Big Brother Canada 3 premiere recap. So let me just pull this up here.
Oh, remember the Google Hangout days? What a
Oh,
time.
So once again, let me know if you can hear this.
Also with us here tonight
We can hear.
is Taran. And Taran, I have to say, with all due respect to all the other people who made a video, I felt like you had the best production value that we've had on one of these videos.
Thank you very much. I would like to think that my expertise as a video editor helped me out there.
Yeah, it's very good. And if you didn't see it, Taran recreated one of the Big Brother Canada videos that were on Global before the season started. Really shot for shot. Very good job, Taran. Tell us a little bit about yourself besides being.
Yes. So yeah, my
child.
audition video for RHAP was a parody of Kevin Martin doing his preseason interview that Rob said looked like it came from like a discount hotel room, and I was like, that I can do. So I made one that was like it, and then I hopped on the podcast, and that was it. That was the rest of it. We do have somebody else here actually who's just joined. Here's Corey.
Hello.
Oh, look who it is.
Hi.
A child.
Yeah, exactly. Just pop it in. I think it's a sad day, but I'm kind of glad it ended on 12. That's a really good. No feeds, forgetting about that, but it's a really good season of Canada.
It was good. Yeah, Corey, you must have been quite young when Big Brother Canada started.
So what year was it exactly?
2013. Oh, 14,
12 or
14, yeah.
13.
I remember it like yesterday. I was at my bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Godfrey was on the block. No, I think what I always appreciated about BB Can was how much they did with so little compared to like BBUS, where you kind of question like, why did they do so little with so much? I think just speaking of my season, like imagine Big Brother Canada's Zombie Week. It would have been so fun. The costumes would have been ridiculous. Like, honestly, we saw it kind of with the movie Massacre, I guess, this season. But I always just thought, like, you could tell there was so much heart in, like, the producers and the creators and, like, everything. Which, you know, I think Big Brother US has a lot of it, too. It's just, it feels different, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of, like, really passionate people, I think, working on the show. They put a lot of, like, and this is something we talk about with BBUS, but, like, you know, they don't always seem like, there are certainly people that are passionate at working on BBUS, but like it really showed in Big Brother Canada through the designs that they had, the look of competitions, the even in the edits, like how much they really just went for it, like with the drama of it all. It never, I don't want to say it never, but like it didn't feel as formulaic as often as I think Big Brother US did. And of course, I think Arissa is probably the best example of that, as she was so invested in the show, watching the feeds, being like a fan herself. And you know, I think the saddest part for me about the show shutting down is all of the people who really loved working on it, who now will not be able to anymore. And, you know, I wish all of them well.
Yeah, and all of the people that, you know, were working on it, and then also all of our Canadian fellow fans of the show that want to play, you know, like it was such a big announcement that Survivor in the States decided to start accepting Canadian applications. A piece of me kind of hopes that maybe they consider that for our version of the show down here if Big Brother Canada doesn't get picked up, because it's like there is so many people's dreams to end up on the show and have a shot. Like, you know, our very own Kirsten McInnes was this damn close to getting in that house, and so there are so many people that are like her that now just basically just don't have a shot now unless they decide to move down here. So yeah, I just it really sucks. It sucks that, like, you know, so many people sort of just have to just be okay with other versions of the show and not have something for their own. And it is like Big Brother Canada is like such a unique show. Like, yes, it follows the American format. There's a lot of things that they borrow from us, but you could tell from the first season, you could tell that there were just certain things that they were injecting into their own franchise that were so unique and so cool and so fun. And yeah, like Arissa, just like host of a lifetime, man. Like her just being so invested, always wanting to talk to the fans, like the kindness that she's shown RHAP over the years, the inside scoops that she's been willing to give us. It just amazing. And so I'm sad. I'm really hoping, because, like, you know, that she did release a statement today, and there is a piece of me that's like, there is some hope. There's a shred of hope in that statement that she made. She did say, you know, there's a possibility that, hey, anybody wants to pick us up, someone's always watching. So, like, hey, it's not like a complete, you know, out of the realm of possibility that we might not have it back. So I'm just hoping, you know, we brought it back once. Maybe we can do it again somehow.
You know, my thought, and this is me having watched Love Island for the first time this year, I feel like a show like BB Can is almost perfectly set up for like a streaming platform of like, give us very loosely edited daily episodes, kind of BBOTT, but like please way better in terms of the edited content. And I feel like that format for like Big Brother would be so amazing, especially if like feeds are off the table, which who knows with another network if they would be. But I feel like there's so much like more to do with Big Brother's format, and like I trust like the people in charge of like Canada's wing to be a little bit more creative in like exploring those options, because I feel like BBUS, they have feeds, which is why it's amazing, and I feel like that's where we are and that's where we're going to be until the show ends.
Right.
All right. Well, somebody else put some shoes on to be here. Chappelle.
Hi.
Boo.
I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah, boo. Big Brother Canada's gone. So sad. This is a sad day, y'all. Taran, you're not going to try to save it this time? I know Rob did the Lord's work last time. What you got up your sleeve this time?
I mean, it seems as though it's a done deal here, Chappelle. This is it doesn't quite feel like it did last time, I think.
Really? You know, I'm a newcomer to the Canadian version of this show, and I really liked what I saw until I didn't like what I saw. You know what I'm saying? Not to harp on that too much, but you know, it's sad. This show makes a lot of people very happy. I know Big Brother US is an awful show, and it makes me very happy, but it's horrible. And it makes the contestants very happy. It makes unhappy. It makes the fans unhappy. And then we come back because we're addicted. So I couldn't even imagine how it would feel if they just snatched it from us like this. So I'm here to grieve with everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, you know, other international versions of Big Brother have gone through this kind of cycle, where, I mean, and it's kind of true of most reality concepts in general, that they only last a certain amount of time until it just kind of runs dry. The concept runs dry. People leave. It's really the legacy shows that stick around the most, or ones with like a particularly interesting concept that can keep people coming back. And I think that's what, you know, Big Brother in the US has in spades, is that they're a legacy show. They've got the live feeds, which remain such a unique concept and really attractive feature. And so that has been the strength, I think, of the show in the US. In Canada, they did very well, especially for a Canadian show to last as long as they did. But, you know, we do see that in other countries, the show does eventually run dry, but it does sometimes come back. You know, in the UK, they recently just brought it back, and it's been similar sort of things there too, where it's like, well, we're getting rid of the feeds, and then we're kind of coming back with more feed content, and it's like the more feeds they have, the better the ratings tend to be. And so given that it had a 12-season run, I definitely don't think it's impossible that it comes back in some form or fashion, maybe years down the line. Who knows? Because it's always just such a, the well is never dry with Big Brother. And I think that, honestly, I think it's Taylor Hale that kind of proved that to me. Like, even when you think there's nothing more to do in Big Brother, somebody like Taylor comes around. And so there's always room to kind of grow it back. But for now, this is where we are. And I've just been thinking a lot lately about like some of the really like Big Brother Canada moments. I mean, right from the very beginning, season 1, I mean, the Topaz thing was just like,
Oh my God.
I mean, what a way to start a show, right? Like your very first season.
If
Somebody
that didn't get the show
votes
canceled, then
incorrectly.
you think they're Teflon after you can survive that season 1 out the gate, somebody vote incorrectly, then you think you have a lot of longevity. I mean, 12 seasons is nothing to scoff at, but I mean, when I heard about Big Brother Canada, I was like, I'm not about to watch this international show. I got enough Big Brother already that was stressing me out. But then I went and watched that season and my mouth was on the floor. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do new stuff. Wasn't ready for that one. So yeah, that's an amazing point. From the gate. I mean, they were just making history for reality TV shows. I can't think of another reality TV show where I won't say the wrong person won, but where somebody literally voted for the wrong person to win on accident. I can't think of another moment.
And it was the deciding vote.
Yeah.
The deciding damn vote. The deciding
they best friend.
damn vote.
Yo, best damn friend. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
But I'm glad in a way, I'm glad that did happen, because then I feel like I don't necessarily know if Gary is back on BB Can 5 if he wins BB Can 1. So in a way, things happen as they should. And you make the best out of it. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2, I feel like almost equally has this incredible finale where John cuts Netta and nobody is expecting it. And the storyline for that season had been so strong in the first place. You had the first 5 who were this dominating majority early alliance, who are eventually overtaken by the underdogs, who then play their own ruthless game. And you of course have Ica and the letters being shred, and it's just like, I mean, again, like that's like the show really just starts to hit on all cylinders, especially in season 2, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had the secret veto that was hidden in the house was
veto.
Phenomenal. Love that.
Mhm.
The secret room, I think they put in the house flawlessly. That was very fun. Getting 3 people living in the house before they even got in the house was a good time. That's the thing with Big Brother Canada. I feel like the things that get forgotten is that they were never afraid to try something new of their own. And for the second season to already come in with a couple hard swings here was definitely great to see. And this was before they ended up getting the upgrade to global. They were still on Slice for season 2.
Was it an upgrade? That's questionable.
Yeah.
Network size wise, yes.
Season 2 is just it's a slam dunk. It really is. Just the casting is just so divine.
Oh, so good.
And I know that, like, we sit here and we talk about strategy all the time, but like I like many others love a little trash with my reality TV too. And so just the amount of conflict and the things that the producers were willing to do to sort of stoke the flames a little bit. And I think that this was also, this aired in an era, and it sounds so weird to say an era when it was literally like about 10 years ago, but still, like, I feel like, consciously as consumers of reality TV, I feel like we were a little bit less critical and harsh over the behaviors of some of the people on the TV. Like, it's a game show where people are in here trying to win life-changing money, and they're under stress, they're under pressure. They're going to not like each other at certain points. They're going to do things that you might not like. They're going to say some things that are not necessarily savory, but you move on from it. And I feel like season 2 was like just like such a perfect example of that, because you saw
if you were on the BB Can streets back then,
okay, granted, I was not watching live feeds at that point. I still was. I didn't know how to at that point. So granted, I wasn't present for exactly everything, but I do feel like there was just like a little bit more of a leeway there, you know, that doesn't really exist today. Like I feel like today it's just so like all the time.
Amon, to your point, I watched this later than all of y'all. This is like I was probably the last one of this panel to watch BB Can 2, and I was in shock at the reactions because I had seen the Ica clip before of her shredding the letters. When I found out they had only been in that house roughly 12 days, I about passed out. I was like, bro, it's the week 2. They act like they had been stranded on an island for 3 months, and they was in there. She's such a bitch. I was like, bro, these people just left the house last Tuesday. Why are they acting like this? So yeah, I think through a later lens, it definitely felt different because I know in the moment it was probably electric. But for me, I was like, why are you so dramatic? If Big Brother Canada players aren't anything else, they're passionate. I'll give them that.
You know, I feel like season 2 like kickstarted the trend of Big Brother Canada finales being like events. Like John cutting Netta is insane. Like you walk into the finale not knowing what's going to happen, whereas I feel like these days, at least in Big Brother US, Cody's going to win, right? Or Jag or Matt, it's going to be one of them. You'd have just off the top of my head, you have John and Netta, and then season 10, you have Josh cutting Betty. I don't think anyone was expecting that live. And then even this most recent season, Bailey gets to the end because none of it makes sense. And I feel like maybe that's the lack of feeds that makes it so unpredictable. But I think like as like live viewing events, you have double evictions, which are fun. BB Can live finales are almost like peak Big Brother.
Very true.
I mean, we get to season 3. That's again when I started covering Big Brother Canada. And it was on Global, and it was maybe a little watered down. You know, there were some issues. There was a twist like every single week of that season. And it was really hard for anything to pick up momentum. But the cast was still amazing. I mean, Godfrey, we had, you know, Jordan, Cindy, like so many like huge personalities and people who were there to play like really hard. And it was just like I think at the time the consensus was like, this is the worst season of Big Brother Canada so far, but it was still really good. Like it was still really fun. And I think importantly, like just the cast was so excellent. There were so many Canadians who were Big Brother fans that always wanted to play and never could because it wasn't in their country.
It was like a lot of pent up energy.
Yes, they were just like raring to go. And then when they got their chance, they like, you know, took off, and it was great.
Yeah. This is the Jordan Parhar era. Also friend of the podcast and host of many a Big Brother podcast while he was here.
He changed the landscape for Big Brother podcasting with RHAP for me. Like when reality TV Happy Hour happened, which by the way, still the best theme song on RHAP. It was phenomenal. When Jordan started podcasting on RHAP and then brought in the LFC to do all those rankings that y'all did. I used to work overnights at the bagel shop. Like we're talking from like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the back alone, packing wholesale orders of bagels to get shipped off. And the amount of hours I spent listening to y'all, that was kind of when So You Think came around. That was the inspo. I was like, I would love to do this. This is phenomenal. Let's do it. And you know, BB Can 3 really brought us a lot. Technically brought us Taran and brought us JP.
Yeah, I have to shout out Dom and Colin for their like player rankings, which really inspired, I think, me and Jordan, I know as well, to like want to do that sort of thing, like more than just covering the episodes. And yeah, the RHAP Happy Hour.
I will say, this spawned one of my least favorite podcasts of all time. It was the player ranking where we're sitting there listening for hours. Like this is like 3, and then
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
is a tie between Dan and Will. And we're like, what was all this for?
The audience broke the tie.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I had an impassioned plea, and they listened to me.
No, those were so much fun. I remember watching those as well. But Taran, I would pay good money for the live feeds of your face when that twist happens and that little box comes up out of the ground and changes the game. I believe for Sarah, isn't that season? Because
that season.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that twist was that like Kevin had been like looking in that specific area, had noticed there was something weird about it, and so it was just like brutal that he had kind of found it but wasn't allowed to use it.
I know it made you so happy, Taran.
Yeah, but things turned out all right for Kevin, I'd say.
They did.
On his third franchise coming soon.
Of course, season 4 came in, and that for me was all about Mitch. I was such a big
Oh,
Mitch
we
fan.
remember, Taran.
It was
Who the
just
hell is Mitch?
Not that.
Mitch Moffat. He
Googling.
ran that season until the fake double eviction. And really, like, I think it was a season in 2 halves. It was the first half, and then the second half.
Oof.
And the second half was not great. It was definitely not great, but it was a very fun first half, and we saw the inclusion of Tim and Nikki, who were very, very fun to watch on the show. And I think season 4 is a little bit of like kind of like we're getting there. Like it was kind of like No Man's Land. Like there was something more to come. The show hadn't quite found its footing yet on Global, I think. And so there were some high highs, but also some low lows.
It was, for me, that was the gateway to learning even more. Because you mentioned earlier how you initially had no interest in looking at the other franchises. I didn't, because I'd heard the same thing where like I had watched one season of BBUK in the summer. It was a good time, but it still wasn't the Big Brother I know. So getting to get 2 of the most iconic people from Australia and the UK to be here and play this game was very fun. That opened my view to a whole new group of people that I just not been familiar with before. And, of course, rest in peace, Nikki, who her and Tim together were wild. And then you throw Cassandra into the mix. That was a good time. Also, first and only time 2 sets of people won the season as one person, technically, in the brothers. I should have been happier. They were from Ottawa. I was not. It's fine. We move. But no, it was still it had some good moments.
Yeah. Of course, season 5, I think, was the big one. I mean, this was like, I think since season 2, it was kind of like, okay, it produced a couple of bangers, but like now it's probably going the way of most Big Brother. It's like, not going to be that great. But then season 5 came along, and it definitely like reinvigorated the hardcore fan base. At least I know the ratings weren't great for that season in general, as they normally aren't with returning player seasons. But the return of some heavy hitters, you had all kinds. You had Netta, you had Ika, you had Bruno and Kevin, and of course Dallas. Amazing.
Okay. Yeah, not easy being Big DZ.
There was I remember the theory I was proposing at the start of that season was that I felt like Dallas might have a shot because he's not going to be seen as a threat, right? Like he's got Bruno upside, because Bruno is going to be seen as a threat now. Dallas is the guy that's not going to be seen as a threat, and of course that was true, but also he was still very bad at the game. So didn't exactly work out, but it was an incredibly dramatic season, of course. Lots of stuff going on with Netta and Ika and the double eviction, the ill-fated double eviction.
The best double eviction of all time.
Easily.
No
The best
contest.
Big Brother moment of all time. Like just the
Just-
energy of the crowd, like nothing
Yes.
compares to it in US.
I came here
Nothing.
just to hear Amon talk about this moment because
What, are you gonna recreate it? Do you have the
Amon-
outfits ready?
Amon, when I tell you I had never seen a moment of Big Brother Canada, and that was like one of the first things I remember is that fight, and then to see you reenact it and basically be the star that you are, it made me want. I was like, I gotta go watch this damn show. I have to see what all the fuss is about. It's incredible.
And shout out to Ika Wong for even like putting that video on blast on ET Canada. It was just like Big Brother Canada 5, I think really was just such electric energy like the entire way through. I love the premiere episode of Big Brother Canada 5 because we get to see all these newbies come in. Like we already know as fans, there's going to be 8 returnees, but it was something so unique about that season. We've seen mixed seasons before, but something about Big Brother Canada 5, at least for me, I think it's because like I didn't grow up watching the US version since its inception, right? But for the Canadian one, I basically had. So it was like I knew all the lore, I knew everything. So it was like watching all these people sort of like be the avatars for super fans of this baby show that's only been on for 4 seasons at that point, watching them have all of these reactions to every person that came through. Ika, Gary, Dallas, Cassandra, Kevin. It was just so like, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. And this was the first Canadian season that I got the chance to, now that I'd been in the podcasting game a little bit and made a couple friends, I knew how to catch the feeds in a way that, was easier this time around. So it was the first Canadian season that I got to watch the live feeds for. And yeah, y'all, backwards week was insane when they gave Gary all them damn cookies and then they all ended up being the ones that were oh my god, it was just like a soap opera that like never ended. Karen is insane to this day, just still one of the most crazy personalities we've ever seen on the show. Her rivalry with Kevin was everything, and that double eviction, man.
It was so good, and I feel like for me, Amon holds a very special place because that was the first proper season of the show being on where we had kind of So You Think become podcasters. I'll never forget. This was the first time I was asked to be on a recap. I want to tell you all the story. So I think I don't remember who was supposed to be scheduled for that season. They couldn't make it. I get a late call to be asked to be on. I didn't expect to be on. I just come home from a night shift. Evening shift. I had smoked the weeds. And I get this call and I'm like, I don't know when the next opportunity is going to be asked. I don't know when I'm going to invite it. I said yes. I still don't know how it went. But I was there. It was fun. But no, everything you said, Amon, I remember I had to work during the double eviction, but Liana and Kirsten and we had been becoming good friends at the time. And once my shift finished, I got home. They got me on Skype. They're like, watch the episode now. We just want to hear you. Don't say anything else. Just watch. So I watched and kind of gave them loud reactions as it was happening. And I'm so grateful that it wasn't spoiled for me. It was such a good time. And that season was also my first ever Know-It-Alls event. They did the BB Can show in Toronto. So that was great. Also, first time I met Taran. So life changed forever. I heard Taran do karaoke. Good times.
How has your life changed? I might say for the better since you met Taran.
Well, Priya, correct me if I'm wrong. That was also you met up with Liana. Was that the first time you met her in person?
That was the first time we met in person. Yeah.
Wow.
A little bit more important than meeting me.
BB Can loves
double evictions.
Yeah. Well, she's not on this podcast right now.
Very true. Very true.
Also,
I remember. Oh, sorry, Corey,
Just
go ahead.
say shout outs in general to Kevin Martin for the first and only edition of ethical comp beasting.
Right.
At the end of the game, like it's one of one.
I mean, it's pretty wild. Like Kevin Martin was on this podcast saying, I think the game is broken. I think there's like a way to exploit the competitions. Then goes on the season and proves it to be correct. Goes on there and just is unevictable for roughly half the season. And you would think after that, everybody making competitions for Big Brother would start thinking more critically about their competitions. But that's
Nope.
another
No.
story.
No, but you know, it made for such good TV. As annoying as it was to sort of have that flaw pointed out and then exploited, it was just so dramatic. Because I think one of the other things that was just such a rush for me for Big Brother Canada 5 is just like the unevictability of Dimitri or Jamaica. Like, we were expecting them to get cut, one of them, for so long. And so when they survived that triple, because, you know, Big Brother Canada famously does not record their, you know, their evictions live. It's live to tape. And so frequently we would get a Hamster Watch tweet saying, hey, and I remember that week of the triple eviction, we're like, there's no way. There's no way. And then when the two of them were still there, I will never forget everybody just being like, how is this happening? It doesn't make any sense. But they did it. And they made it all the way to Final Four. And like, it was just, I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it.
As someone who wasn't tapped in at the time, when I finally went back and watched the season, I was like, oh, I got to watch them in order. You know, that's how I watched all the other Big Brothers. So I was going through and I got to, I think I finished Netta and John's season. And I text Puya, I said, it's crazy. That clip of Amon that Amon's always posting. Why does everybody hate Netta so much? She seems swell. And to find out by the time season 5 rolls around, the heel turn essentially Netta takes in the eyes of the fans during that season, it's incredible TV. And it just goes to show you how you can be a fan favorite in one season and basically get just ushered out of the house by everyone in Canada and surrounding areas as well.
Yeah. Well, my Tastemakers podcast co-host has shown up here. It's Grace.
Hey!
I figured there wasn't enough Canadian representation on the BBC.
I think you're the one.
Puya.
Well, Puya counts.
He jumped ship. He jumped ship. He's one of us. One of us. Puya said a pledge.
Yeah,
Say
stake your claim now, Puya. Stake your claim.
Say the pledge, Puya.
Well, I actually did want to say, I feel like the thing that I'm most sad about in terms of BB Can leaving is there was this time where Canada finally had something like really great, and something that was like there were people were like, oh my god, is BB Can better than the American Big Brother?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you're Canadian, like all of our media is like absorbed by Canadian. There's literally laws that make sure that like a percentage of music on the radio, a percentage of like content on TV has to be Canadian, or else we would just only watch American and listen to American content. And so that exists for a reason. And like Canadian culture, I feel like we get our own little, like we've got Amazing Race, Canada, whatever. But to get like a version of the show and then for it to be like in ways like, I think like it was far ahead of its time in terms of casting. And then like, you know, the show for a while. And then they ruined it and it got canceled.
No, that's such a good point though, because I think like especially in terms of BB Can 5, like because I mean I feel like for the first 4 seasons there was always that dialogue of like is this better than the US for a multitude of reasons, the casting, the host. But Big Brother Canada 5, when they dropped those pictures of the house before the season and basically like recreated the Death Star, I was like, what are we doing down here? Like, why does our house look like crap? And them up there that probably have a smaller budget are just pulling out these amazing theatrical feats with what they're able to do. It was just, that cemented it to me. I was like, no, they are on to something up there. Like, I might need a visa.
And for BB Can to hit such high heights and then to skip BB Can 6 and just go straight to 7, wild choice by them. Really, just for 6 to not exist. Because I was told I could never watch that. I don't know why. No one's ever really explained to me why something horrible happened in 6 that we just can't talk about.
Do any of you think like what's the biggest influence Big Brother Canada has on on Big Brother, the franchise of Big Brother, now that it's over?
I mean, I think it's easily Arissa being ahead of the game.
Yes.
With diversity casting. And you know, she was the one that really like put her foot down and drew a line, and I think really helped inspire a lot of the campaigns for other shows, not even just Big Brother, but Survivor. The Bachelor started a campaign as well around that time. And Arissa was really there, like pushing for it early on. And I think, you know, if if you think about Big Brother Canada's mark on the sort of TV landscape as a whole, I think that is easily its sort of like highest mark.
I mean, I think she summed it up. I always think about this quote. I'm like, if there's ever a Big Brother museum that's built, it needs to be on one of the walls somewhere. Is that we have to evolve past the idea that minorities outside of the house have to remain minorities inside of the house. And I think that just sums it up entirely, because it's like, what are we doing here? Are we here to perpetuate what the world does, or are we here to actually try to put forth what we want the world to be? So I just thought that, yeah, that was just, and like a piece of me was kind of like, I mean, I'm glad that it's happened, right? I'm glad that we have the diversity initiative, and I'm glad that we are starting to see more risks with casting. But a piece of me I think it was like a year afterwards, after Arissa made that announcement, and then Paramount Plus is like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna be doing 50% by PLC, and I'm like, okay, now y'all are knowing, and okay, all right, but hey, we're making progress, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, of course, after Big Brother Canada 5, it was seemingly canceled. I don't think it was ever like quite as sort of like end of the line feeling as this is, but because it felt like it was in its prime at that time. Like season 5 had been so good, it was like, wait, why would this be canceled? Of course, it was our own Rob Sasternino that started up the petition to try to get it back. He said, use your power of veto to save Big Brother Canada. And when eventually the show came back, they thanked us for like helping save it, essentially. That it was brought back. They got to a new studio house location. I had because we did the live show in Toronto, I had been able to go to one live show for the old location before they moved to the new one. But Big Brother Canada 6 it comes and thank goodness, because it was a great season on the live feeds, at least. And really the story of that season was that this is great on the live feeds. The episodes are not showing it. And it was so Big Brother Canada 5 was the last season that I still had a job outside of podcasting, because heading into Big Brother 19 and then all the seasons after that, I was doing live feed updates. And so Big Brother Canada 6 was the first season that had live feed updates from us. And again, thank goodness, because it was very necessary for that particular season, which had some great characters and some really fun and interesting gameplay, including, of course, Johnny's famous like escape artist act of surviving the week he really should have been evicted. And the, again, sort of like surprising finish to the season where Paris clutches up out of nowhere and controversially takes the win. And so that really was the season that proved the importance of the live feeds and showed maybe a little bit of a weakness in how the show sometimes edited the episodes. I know that there's a big fan of Big Brother Canada 6 actually who just joined. It's Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Wow, that's how did you know? That's exactly why I jumped in.
Your
I heard
favorite
we were about
visit.
to talk about Paris, and I couldn't sit back any longer. Anybody who was watching that live and did not jump out of their chair watching Paris and Kayla jump out of their chairs in those final two speeches, like that is good Big Brother. That is top tier Big Brother. And watching that all play out throughout the season with the live feeds, like you're talking about, like you had to be there for the feeds, you had to be there for the finale. Getting past the problems that occurred in the first couple of episodes of that season, there was some good stuff to be found. Chappelle, if you were ever given permission to watch it, I promise you'll enjoy
Jump
some
in
of
at
it.
episode 4, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. Every time I get ready to go watch the season, one, I'm reminded of this horrible thing that happened in those first couple episodes. But also, people always tell me you just can't get the magic of what Paris was doing without the live feeds. And so it's very deflating. So I would go listen to the podcast so I could try to get a grasp on what it was that she was doing, because everyone speaks so highly of it. And yeah, I agree that there's probably a weakness in the editing, but also a weakness in Big Brother as something that is rewatchable. You know, we've all probably rewatched seasons amongst us, but for sure, if you can't really get that feel, it's like the Paris conversation is like a precursor to the conversation we've had for the last couple seasons, right? Like, where, okay, does Big Brother Canada work without live feeds? Look no further than BB Can 6. It might not.
Y'all are very critical of the episodes. I'll tell you one person who loved the BB Can 6 episodes, and that is Big Brother US production. Because a bit of a fun fact, for the people who are not as familiar with the show, for Big Brother 25, they give them some seasons: 16 classic, 20 classic, and then Big Brother Canada 6 was the other season given to them.
Wow.
Because Blue was quoting Paris in the house, and I'm like,
Kitty
there's no
Paris.
way. So maybe it was the Women's Alliance. Maybe, I don't know exactly what the reasoning for that was, but you know, it's nice to know there's some supporters out there.
Yeah, and to speak on Paris's game, first of all, for me personally, again, first Persian winner we've had, so I was elated. But when it comes to good final two speeches moments, I feel like BB Can has produced quite a bit of them for my liking. Kevin and BB Can 5 kills it. Paris, still number one for me, my favorite. I think this last season, Bay went ham. That was incredible to see. And I think US, I would say Taylor from BB24 definitely is my one to go to. But I think BB Can has produced a lot of them, and Paris's was one of my favorites, or if not my favorite ever. In a final.
Yeah, because Grace, you asked earlier about like, what do you think like some of the biggest impacts that Big Brother has had, you know, or Big Brother Canada specifically has had like on the franchise as a whole. And I think shout out to Kevin Martin for sort of like putting so much like zeal and zest into his final two speech, because I feel like we started to see a lot of people replicate that behavior to varying degrees of success in their speeches. But I think that was something that I think that a lot of the time, you know, the final two speeches do become a little pageant. Like, they're like, this is the thing that I did and I want to win because of it. And now it's like, no, bitch, I did this. You're going to give me your vote. And, you know, I kind of love to see it. So, hey.
Taran, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this the first BB Can season that there was player recaps at the end?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just remember like knowing that it was coming, the amount of players that were in the house that would have had, you know, 3-hour podcasts each, because the Johnnies, Allies, Olivias, you know, even if an Erica had been allowed to go farther in that season, there was just so many gamers doing so much active gaming in that house that to then get to the end and recap it all, like it was a lot. There was a lot happening there.
I remember I got a lot of goodwill from the lovely audience for being the one who volunteered / fell on the sword of recapping Beans's game, aka Derek, that season. Derek was the one I ended up with, and listen, it was a lot of work to get there. I couldn't get paid enough to tell you a single thing. I do not remember anything from Derek's game.
The man won comps.
He was there.
He certainly was. Of course, that led us into Big Brother Canada 7, which is really defined by the Pretty Boys and their kind of ode to the brigade, and introduced us to one Anthony Douglas, and was probably the most hated season of the show to that point.
Yeah. Not by you.
No. It was also the first time I had gone to a finale, and I did interviews in person with some of the Big Brother Canada 7 cast. In fact, I went there with Matt, who was there with me. I got to meet Arissa for the second time. She was just as lovely as the first time. And we also met Aika, who was incredibly lovely and drove us back to our hotel. As well as like actively tried like campaigned to get us into the backyard, which was very nice of her. and was just like a very cool experience. And it was like, all right, well, we got through season 7. Surely season 8 is going to be an improvement.
Wow.
I don't know about that.
It's funny because if you look back at the cast of that, it's like, wow, we really got out before things could have gotten even worse, probably somehow. It was already bad. We'd already had 3 like ejections before, or maybe one of them left.
We were like week 2 and
A
we were
walk-
down. Like we had 1
Yeah.
eviction.
A
Yeah,
walk
but,
in,
like,
a
black people
walk
were
and
going-
2 expelled, right?
A walk, 2 expels, and 1 eviction before it was like, you guys got to go home.
Can I say one of my favorite things about is that once again we are a small country and we have no money basically, and so my favorite part of the show is seeing what the prize is every season. And I'm just like, as I'm like going through the seasons, it's like season 7, the prize was $100 grand, $25,000 from Leon's, and a Kentucky holiday. The prize, yeah.
The add-ons were always hilarious.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Big Brother Canada 8 is like so interesting to me because like honestly, I really feel like if there wasn't such a mishandling of the whole Jamar situation, and of course, if the world didn't succumb to a global pandemic at the time, I feel like that season really had the potential to be one of the best, like especially after season 7, where there is like a lot of boredom and fatigue that sinks in with the Pretty Boys dominating pretty much the entire game. There was so much mess with the characters involved with season 8, and there was always something going on. So I felt like we were really like revving up for like a really interesting game, but unfortunately things sort of went south and then things had to get shut down. I do think that it is a really important piece of media in terms of like a timestamp for the pandemic, because yes, we all know the stories of like how a bunch of TV shows and movies like kind of got shut down. But like something like Big Brother, where it is live and you do have live feeds, and we got to see them literally get told bit by bit. Okay, yeah, there's a pandemic going on. We don't really know what's happening yet, but just wanted to let you guys know that your families are safe. And then 2 days later, it's like, oh yeah, so it looks like we're gonna have to shut down a few things. And then a day later, it's like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to pack your bags, leave, and wear a mask on your way out.
Yeah, not since like genuinely since like BB2 with like telling the final 3 about 9/11 was there such a significant news drop for people sequestered in a Big Brother house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was just devastating, and it was such like, it was one of the few shows, because this is Big Brother, right? Like it is so transparent and live and raw. And so this was happening all around the world to so many different things and people and jobs and all kinds of things. But this was something that you could see happening in real time, that these people were like, who were living their dream, and it was just dashed in front of them, and it was shut down. And I mean, it was just devastating for them, and I know it's like still devastating for them, and such a shame that none of them were ever brought back.
That was the whole discussion for
yeah.
a long time after, or at least when BB Can was getting ready to come back. Will they bring anybody back? And given the stink on it from the early part of the season, it was probably a pretty clear no to them. But a lot of those players from season 8, and I would say probably 100% of those players, maybe like, I don't know, Jamar was on another show, but we haven't heard from at all. They have,
some of them boxed, some of them
maybe they boxed, but they have.
Sheldon is wrestling. He's, I think, wrestling around Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But of course, that led us into Big Brother Canada 9 and 10, which I think were the 2 like golden era Big Brother Canada versions, where it was like, they messed around a little bit with a dumb twist at the start of 9, but they got rid of it pretty quickly. And it was just I think the 2 seasons showcase some of the best that Big Brother has to offer. When I saw the news that it was official, that Big Brother Canada was being, it was over, I tweeted out that Big Brother Canada at its best was the best of Big Brother. And I really think that these 2 seasons exemplify that in so many ways. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave soon, so I'm gonna just drop my piece on this, and then I will hand the reins over to Puya. But this is when Arissa took over, and for these 2 seasons, for somebody who knows the show so well and is so passionate about making it good, while also being connected to the community and the fan base in like an unprecedented way, was so special. The way that she was actively responding to criticism and like different ideas for the show that were making it actively better. The competitions were getting better. The casting was getting better, and led to the first Black winner of Big Brother Canada, and then season 10, which led to the first person who had ever faced a week 1 eviction vote, winning Big Brother. And what a finale season 10 was. Most of us, I think, here were in New York. Maybe not most of us. Maybe close to it. And we hosted a little like watch party that was like not official, but we watched it. I've told this story before, but like I had already interviewed Helena, so I knew that Kevin had survived the final 4. But there's always the risk of spoilers for Big Brother Canada. One of their big weaknesses is that they don't do these shows actually live. And so I'd seen a quote unquote spoiler account, which I normally would give 0 credence to, but had every detail that was unknown to the public completely right about that I knew that nobody else knew. And so I thought they have everything right up until a point, and then they said Kevin loses, he gets cut. And I was like, that's exactly what I would expect to happen. Josh is winning all the comps. He's obviously going to cut Kevin. They have everything else right about how Kevin survived and that he did survive when everyone thought Helena was out. So I was like, I think these spoilers might be right. And so I was even more shocked, I think, than perhaps most when Josh stood up and cut Betty and took Kevin. And of course, the clip of me standing up like a meerkat behind Asia exists.
Future Survivor player Asia.
Yes, I was streaming the whole time, and it was just such a great night. It was a really fun stream. It was a really fun episode, and of course, it gave us Kevin Jacobs. And so I really feel like they, in terms of the good version of the show, went out on top there. Where it really was like showing us what Big Brother can be when you really put the effort into it. And I think regardless of anything else Big Brother Canada did, season 9, season 10, those seasons were such a gift to somebody like me who's been watching the show for most of my life. And so for that, I'm very grateful, as well as to the fact that I have met so many great people who were fans of the show, who were on the show, that I've become friends with. And so it's definitely given a lot to me in my life. And even though it had sort of deteriorated by the time it went away, it's still a very sad thing, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. So that's what I've got on Big Brother Canada. But I will pass this over to you guys and help allow you to continue the reminiscing. So thank you all, and I'll see you later.
Thank you, Taran.
Bye, Taran.
He really left us with the digital daily era. What a man.
No. You're not about to yada yada 9 and 10 like that.
No. We're going back. But right before we do, make sure to follow him, of course, on Twitter at Armstrong Taran, on twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. With the season upcoming, you're going to want to be a part of those socials moving forward. Back to BB9 real quick. BB Can 9. For me personally, the best house BB Can has put together. The ball pit room is the all-time rooms of Big Brother history for me.
A damn thing in that room, but wishes and dreams,
It's like that time they said they were going to do a sandbox on BBUS, but didn't actually do it. But then they did actually do a ball pit on BB Can, and there was nothing nothing worthwhile came out of that besides the
Nothing.
house guests got to have fun in a ball pit and terrible mic issues, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop off soon as well. I wanted to shout out Big Brother Canada 9. In terms of just like talking about the legacy of the show's casting, one thing that I hope I saw a headline maybe recently that the American version of Big Brother is hesitant to cast another trans person on the show. Julie Vu, who unfortunately was the first boot, but was somebody who I had like watched her videos when I was like thinking I was like, I might be trans. So I like found Julie on YouTube. It was so cool to see Julie in the house, and even though she went out first boot, which is unfortunate, hoping that these other shows pick up the legacy of like you could cast trans people again. That's cool. You got it. You go for it.
Hell yeah.
Feel free.
Grace, before you go, this was your
Yeah.
first season podcasting about Big Brother Canada as well, wasn't it?
Well, was BB9? Was BB9?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's when we came in.
I think so. Yeah, that would have been right. Yeah, that would have been right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was after class of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the thing that was cool about that was that I feel one of the moments for BB Can that gave me is I do remember I was at work one day and I got a Teams message and someone like sent me like an Rhap BB Can Rhap. I was like, "You're on this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. That's
Because
me.
like people like watch in Canada watch BB Can. They watch the US version too, but like it's just like people are watching the BB Can version. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, it was great. And I'm meeting some of these players has been cool as well. Yeah, it's a shame that it's ended. It's a thing that Canada had and will no longer have, but we'll see what happens. Yeah,
For sure.
all right. I'm gonna hop out, but it was good to see you all.
Bye, Grace.
See you,
Bye,
Grace.
Grace.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, I love the repurposing of the house for Big Brother Canada 9 because the comic book theme for BB Can 8 was I was in love with that, and instead of sort of just like giving it like an entire revamp, what they usually do, I liked that they sort of like made it sort of like a post-apocalyptic type feel with the vines coming down from the ceiling and everything, to sort of like say like, hey, yeah, we as a global community, we've kind of gone through some crazy stuff over the past year with this pandemic, but we're still here.
The 8 house, and they didn't like completely change everything, right? They just like put a couple more decorations on it to make it seem like you just said, like we've gone through some stuff since the last time you saw the house looking like this. So that was a really smart move.
I thought that was really cool and probably very cost effective.
and in a ball pit.
and Tyshawn as a winner is so good. He's just so good. For him to be our first black male winner of this entire franchise, it's just like he feels like such a good representation of like how you would want to play the game. Like he was leading, he made the cutthroat moves, he backstabbed his alliance, he still won. I mean, it was like almost a perfect game, and it was just like somebody you'd just be happy to say, hey, this person won Big Brother. It was so much fun to watch, and I was happy that I finally got to give some commentary about that too. It was a historic moment for a lot of us.
Yeah,
for sure.
Monumental, and I believe if I have my history correct, the first and only time I'm on, you won a draft, right?
You know what?
Was it not? I'm legit asking. I don't remember.
Just hold on and wait until BB26, man. Because like I am tired of the shit talking. I am so tired of it, especially since I've done well in other drafts. Did I get the win? Maybe not. No. Did I make it to the final? Did I have somebody at the finale? Yes, multiple times. But yes, it was my first time that I won.
The 25 draft to set you back years.
You know what? Don't do this. No. And shout out to Matt because I was conversing with him about who I should draft, and Matt was like, "I think you need to go ahead and scoop up Tyshawn." And I
had a hot streak for a while. I got the Anthony Douglas call, but when nobody else believed in him.
Matt, remind us, when you were doing the power ranking articles on RHAP, which season was it where you put someone last and they won the whole season?
That was Kevin Jacobs.
Puya, you can relate.
If you go backwards, we had some good luck with Tyshawn, who was number 1. And as far as BB Can 6 went, we had like the entire final 5 in the top of that list. So we had some good years, some bad years, but yeah, Kevin was at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, the 9 and 10 1-2 punch for BB Can was really, truly, in my opinion, its goal. Like, this is where the conversation of Big Brother US is not on the same level. It just is not. Because then what was following BB Can 9? It was BB 22 or
Yeah.
22 was during the
20
pandemic.
Yeah,
It's during the
BB22
pandemic,
was the
and then-
one right before. So that was the last one we had. Then BB Can 9 shines.
Yeah. So it was
W-
Tashawn,
sorry.
then Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was
then-
back to back black men. Yep.
Mhm.
And
About,
Yeah.
what's that,
I was gonna
Corey?
ask, can I gush about BB Can 10 for a second?
Please. That's
Oh,
where we're going.
what-
Because
Corey, before you get
Yes.
there, I do want to point out a casting situation for BB Can 10. Need us remind you that Puya got his boy Kyle Moore on the show.
Sam,
The
take him
RJP
out. Sam,
people
eject him. Sam,
literally
eject him.
casted somebody on the show.
Listen, let me tell you this. Chappelle and
if you listen to this, you know the Twitter streets put that man on the show, and it was all.
No, we'll
Puya's
talk about
doing.
it. We'll talk about it. So, first of all, Chappelle and I are good friends, but every year he decides to be the worst human in the world and push this fucking narrative that I put this man on the show. But let's talk about the wild BB Can 9 streets and the Kyle Moore story. So the cast got announced for BB Can 9. There was a person in that cast that got removed. And then they said there's a Kyle Moore on there. Twitter, being the detectives that they are, went
Did
through and
their
were
thing.
like, okay, we found him. It's this guy. He has this like mental health podcast, seems really well put together. Ends up not being him. It's a different Kyle Moore. It's a hockey player.
Mhm.
I was like, you know what would be hilarious? Because it was seemingly Kyle Moore was into the whole joke. I was like, you know what'd be funny? I've started this new weekly Among Us game lobby. Let me message him and see if he's down to play. He said yes. We got him in the game. He played a couple times with us. And then the next year, he had fully jumped on to play Big Brother. What then followed was catastrophic, but just that journey, that like I don't think you get that on BBUS. That's the most BB Can thing to have ever happened.
So good.
yeah, that was a shocking storyline. I we couldn't believe it. Like I'll never forget like when we were asking him like, so like what did it feel like when you because like he literally became famous literally quite like overnight, literally because they
Because
dropped the cast.
people were like, people were like, this is the one, and then we're like, this should have been the Kyle Moore that was on. They gassed him up for a whole year.
And I'll never forget, like he said, like when he like picked up his phone the next morning, he thought that he had like done something. He thought he was in trouble. He thought he was like,
Why
oh
are
my
people
god,
looking
like
at me?
am I canceled? Like what happened? Did I say something bad on one of my shows? Like, but no, it was just that we were so excited and we just wanted to support him, and he ends up on the show in a year. It's just like it's crazy, and
Yeah.
his run was
It ended in the same spot as the other Kyle Moore. Exact same spot for both of them.
Except this one was so bad that he got backdoored by his own like number one.
This one was
ally.
more self-inflicted for sure. Corey,
What did
you
you
were
wanna
gonna
gush
gush.
Yeah,
let's
my bad.
gush.
So much like all of you, I assume, I was hit with the nasty punch of Big Brother 21 into Big Brother 22. And then the pandemic. And I was done with Big Brother. Over. Like I did not watch 23. I did not watch 24. I send in an application at 3 a.m. and the ball starts rolling. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I have to become a fan again. This is important probably. And the season my brother gives me is BB Can 10. And holy shit. I wasn't there for the feeds. I wasn't there for the updates. That batch of edited episodes are incredible. So much fun. There's that like 4-hour Kevin Jacobs YouTube video as well that I watched at some point before any of it. And I was like fully back in love with Big Brother. I was able to speak to one person before my season. That was Kevin Jacobs. It sent me on this stupid wild goose chase trying to work with Mimi because I wanted Helena. And I can't express how grateful I am to the season because like I think me having this whole experience, like obviously that helps me get back into the show. But as a fan, I was done until I watched Big Brother Canada 10. I think it has the perfect like level of drama and game bodiness. Really, it's just a lot of drama and then Kevin. Probably my favorite season of Big Brother as far as the episodes are concerned. And obviously, what a great winner. And if you're not signed up for the newsletter,
Yeah,
sign up.
realitytvnewsletters.com. Get on it, folks. It's a good time.
That finale, I mean, for a variety of reasons, was so
Yes.
insane. But like, I don't think we even I didn't even realize going into it that there was like all these people that were rooting for Kevin and Betty almost equally. Like there was just people that kind of picked their sides, and everybody was like, whatever, Josh. So obviously all the Betty fans completely losing their minds on Josh when he decides to cut her. And then the Kevin fans, like, this totally seemed out of the realm of possibility after Josh won that HOH. He pulls it out, and now we have a 4-hour video of everything Kevin did that season, and it paid off in a victory. I mean, it doesn't get any, crazier than that.
Yeah. That was my first RHAP live experience. We had done the Survivor the day before, and then we did Big Brother Canada. And I was so nervous because I was like, all these people and everybody's so crazy. And I barely watched Big Brother Canada. I'm new here. But Scally had a bunch of vodka. And so at the watch party, he had a handle, and he was just being very liberal with his distributing the vodka.
Liberal is loose. Like the man did not
gallons of vodka.
Oh no.
I thought he gave me a shot. When I tell you I went for the shot and the drink was still going, I was in desert. It was bad. It was a lot.
Yeah. So once the drinks start flowing and the finale starts, the Big Brother Canada finale starts out. It's very boring in the beginning. It's always like the setup is like 30 minutes of just here's what happened this season, and then you get the challenge, and as it's going on, you see like, okay, Josh might just go ahead and pull this one out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then people are rooting for Betty, people are rooting for Kevin. But then when Josh makes his fatal error, and Taran's live streaming, and it's just perfect because, again, hella drunk. So this was like the Super Bowl to me, okay? I was screaming, I was hollering, and Kevin Jacobs was one of the nicest people I've ever met. I don't think that amazing moment should have happened to anybody but him. And so it was incredible that I got to be with a bunch of Big Brother Canada fans to experience that as well. I'll never forget that moment.
Meanwhile, Ty was like sleeping behind the screen.
Yeah, it's my time. Yeah.
Your Ty was asleep.
Yeah. My time was knocked out. He missed all of it.
That was
the handle that Scally had.
Well, I remember that draft very well because Rob ends up drafting Kevin Jacobs. And I remember thinking, man, that video we got from him, I do not get good vibes. I'm very nervous for this man. I know he's a patron. I'm rooting for him, but I just don't see it. Then he was on the block week 1. I was like, this isn't looking good. For him to then put all of that, get through all of that, and then just be able to navigate himself to the end in this wacky season. To not only, because I also thought he was going to be gone at 4. He survived. There were
many weeks when
it was done.
The gummy bear.
Oh my God, the gummy bear. The gummy bear that literally was honored. I genuinely did not think that gummy bear should have or would have been honored, but it was.
No, you took out your fave, Marty.
And
Marty took out Gino, didn't he?
Yeah, well,
he did.
The legacy of Big Brother Canada is not dead.
No,
Gino is carrying the torch.
Oh yeah, on this new show.
Gino is certainly carrying the
castle.
torch.
Okay, Matt, that's enough.
What? What did I do?
What do you mean by that?
On to another show, just like Corey said.
Okay.
Shout out to Kevin Jacobs, because that was the first time that I'd ever heard, and this might sound a little self-indulgent, but it was just really cool. Like, it was the first time I ever heard my name on the live feeds. Like, it was like, wow, like people actually, like, there are like people that watch RHAP that are on the show. It just sort of like, we always knew that, but it was just like such a grounding moment of like, wow, like this is like, we're like part of like the zeitgeist of Big Brother. So that was really cool. So shout out to Kevin Jacobs for that.
Yeah. What else can you say? I mean, he's like, before the season started, everybody was saying, I know him and he's the nicest human who ever existed.
Yes.
And I know him and he's the nicest human. Everybody's kept saying it. So for him to go in and probably play this dual role as like, he was like, oh, I'm going in, I'm going to be like a secret mastermind, all this other stuff. But then to come in and just win everybody over and just to win that game in a landslide victory. It was so impressive. It was so fun. Kevin not being able to play Big Brother Canada again is probably one of my saddest reasons about this Big Brother Canada ending. Like that's gonna hurt.
Yeah. To bring this all back to why we're here, as far as the show is no longer going to be on, it's like the Kevins of the world that, if the show had been canceled back after season 5, we never meet anybody that comes after, including Kevin, including so many other, legends of the game. The story of Anthony Douglas that, we've half gotten to so far in this, little recap, and we're going to get to the other half. Just all of these things, all of these people that we don't get to meet. Like, that's the beauty of these shows. Some seasons bad, good, live feeds not, but having these people introduced not only onto as entertainment, as characters, but into the community, to hop into this very podcast right now, recent players, that are around, you don't meet them when the show's not on. So that's just kind of what brings me down when I think about it, but not to go
And
down.
I think I'm very another thing that's very upsetting is that we never got a real all-star season for Big Brother Canada. And now I feel like now more than ever, I think it's gonna, I don't think that we can ever really get one, at least not with the people that we would want to see, because I mean, I am still a little hopeful that the show will get picked up by something else. We know that Global cut it off, but there are other networks in Canada. I know there's CTV, so maybe they can figure something out. We'll see. Who knows? But that's probably going to take some time. It's going to take some wheeling and dealing so that, if Big Brother Canada does come back in some shape or fashion, are people going to want to come back? Is it going to be the same? I don't know. So I'm just thank God for Big Brother Canada 5, and in some ways 12, that we do get to see returnees, but we really deserved that real, true blue all-star season, and I don't think we'll ever get that now.
What a bit of blood.
Yeah. And this is the last season that I watched closely because of we know what's about to happen next. But before, so I'm about to tap out. But before I go, the chat was bringing this up. The finale, while we were in New York, someone had to do the recap episode for the finale. And so Chantel, who was in New York with us, flew back to Canada and got on the live, after show
recap,
and, on the recap. And come to find out, these people start knocking on her door. And so Chantel has to go open the door and basically find out what these people want. Turns out her neighbors are friends with Kevin Jacobs. He used to live downstairs from her, and they knew that she was doing the podcast. So they knocked on the door and they're basically in the podcast with us. It's crazy. So I remember watching, I had just woken up and I was watching it, after the fact on my computer. And I was like, is this a home invasion? Is she okay? Right. And it was just a crazy moment that, it's so RHAP.
She's just laughing through it. We're like, she seems like she's okay.
Right. These random people just are in your home, Chantel. Are you safe? But that was just a crazy moment.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Let me,
and with
before
that,
we start, I was going to say the same thing, Chappelle. Before we start diving into every digital daily, I think I have to bow out as well. So enjoy it.
Pleasure, y'all. Pleasure.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm losing this pressure cooker. See y'all later. Thank y'all. Long live BB Can, BBCAN. Bye.
Yeah.
And then there were 3.
We have to talk
final 3.
Listen, we don't got to be long. We've already been here for about 90 minutes, so we can make it short. But this is where I feel like for a lot of people, what just happened, right? Where people started falling off of the show and moving on. Big Brother Canada 11 gets announced. But before the season starts, we get I was about to say, I think it was basically a tweet, like a write out that said, moving forward, we are going to be doing something called the digital dailies, where you'll be getting content daily that's done aka translating to no more live feeds. And and Taran said this at the beginning, I don't want to talk about that again, because believe me, there can be a supercut that's 90 minutes long of every single podcaster talking about not having live feeds. It's just a genuine shame, because both season 11 and 12 had some genuinely incredible moments that would have only benefited and only been elevated with some live feeds to back them up. It is so sad, because there's also some really good characters on both these seasons that we did not really get that true justice for.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody hasn't checked it out, I think it's already been referenced, here so far. Arista put out this video today of just, talking through, thanking people and talking about this and that. And one of the things she talked about was, what we've all thought all along, of the network pulled the feeds. It wasn't Arista. It wasn't production, BB Can themselves. We knew that was the case. And Arista talking about, I fought for them. We know, we know, and nobody ever blamed her. It was just this overwhelming feeling of Big Brother is feeds, and she said that as well. She, you know, a Big Brother is watching people in a room have a conversation about whatever it is, whether it's about the game, about their real lives, about something that's going on in the house. That is Big Brother, and that's what separates it from every other show. Like you said, we don't need to rehash all of it, but it changed the viewing experience for all of us that just got these amazing seasons back to back, that there's so many other great BB Can seasons that have taken place over the years, and it just completely takes the air out of the balloon. And so many people dipped out, understandably. The people that stuck around were sitting here waiting for these dailies, and you know, we know how that went, especially last in season 11, you know, vacuuming this and loud noises over here and no gameplay. It's like, what's going on? What are we getting out of this? And it certainly took you know, a lot of the fun and joy out of you'd get on a podcast, and you'd be like, well, we have to find the fun things to talk about, even though we don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes because we don't get to see it anymore. So at least, you know, the dailies for 12 were improved, but at the end of the day, it wasn't what we want as Big Brother fans. So you know, the beginning of the end with that announcement, that tweet at the beginning of BB Can 11, it was a heartbreaking day. It was heartbreaking, you know, the past couple of years, knowing that that's the product that, you know, is available, but it's not exactly what you want. It, you know, it is what it is.
It was kind of hard. It was kind of hard, like, at least personally, like how to navigate like critiquing the show, because like many of us have gotten the chance to, like, well, I won't say many, but quite a few of us podcasters have gotten the chance to sort of, you know, either meet Arissa in person and like get to know her a little bit, or chat with her, you know, over social media. So there's a little bit of like a, you know, like you want to root for the show that someone that you just admire so much is a part of. And so for me, I didn't really know how to talk about it in the beginning, because I was like, this is BS. This is stupid. Like, Big Brother without live feeds is just Survivor in a house. It's not the same. That if it's not Big Brother if there's no Big Brother watching. It doesn't make any sense. So I remember just feeling like, well, I don't want to badmouth the show too much, because like people that I care for, you know, are a part of it, and I want to still see it succeed. But at the same time, as fans of the show, you kind of want to make it known, like, girl, no, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we want. And I know it's kind of rich for me as an American to be like, you know, this is not what I paid for, because we weren't paying for anything. And they don't even have to pay for live feeds up there anyway. So it's just like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you want your voice to be heard. There is like such a communal thing between the fans and Big Brother Canada. There always has been. So you just felt like, I felt like we felt a little bit more justified in being like, no, I think that this was a misstep. But unfortunately, you know, as Arissa said, obviously we knew it wasn't her. We knew it wasn't her from jump. We knew, like, there was never any question.
No.
And
Arissa would be live tweeting the feeds with us. Like, things would go off in the house, and we would, you know, hop on Twitter. Everybody gets to the feeds, house meeting, and Arissa's there tweeting along with everybody else. Like, it was never in doubt that, you know, she was the advocate there, if there was one.
I mean, to me, it was abundantly clear that this was a network decision, because they got it got removed, and then we had like a plethora of sponsors that came right behind it. Yeah. It felt like, okay, y'all took way more control now, and this is kind of what you've put us through here. And I feel like the episodes, obviously, I just said there were clearly the episodes delivered some stuff where you could tell it was a good season or had good moments because they're in the episode. But also, I felt like the episodes, we had kind of moved away from what it once was, because of a 42-minute runtime, not including commercials episode, half of it ended up being commercials and ad spots for winners, for vacuums, for HelloFresh, for whatever they were, Philips Sonicare. So that was kind of what it had become. BB Can used to be appointment television, not just for me, but for a lot of us when it was on. And, you know, I had moved to America, and now having to find a way to watch it had become a challenge that I know a lot of us were very willing to go through to get to watch the episodes. That had started losing its importance. The dailies, I feel like the dailies had, you know, obviously the content, there was some gold in them, but then there were weeks where it's like, yep, you're not getting dailies till Tuesday, and it's Wednesday. So, it's gone for a week. Bye. So stuff like that wasn't helping us feel connected to it anyway. But I want to talk about some of these characters on this season, because someone that stuck out to me on BB Can 11 that does end up making a very, very fun run on Traders Canada season 1 as well is Kuzi. And those of you that ended up leaving Big Brother along with BB Can with the feeds, you have missed out on a great character in Kuzi.
For sure. I mean,
Kuzu
when you
Bakwai.
started to say that there was a character on that season, I was really racking my brain because I was like, it's not anybody in like the final 5, 4, 6. But yeah, Kuzi like 7th or 8th place. Certainly the excitement of the season and a lot of excitement went out the window when she got evicted there. But like the moments that she brought to it, the who did she get into a fight with?
Zach, who ended up
Oh
walking.
my God, yeah.
Mhm.
That was the moment of the season. So yeah, and then Kuzia,
Yeah.
like you said, being on Traders Canada.
And this season was kind of plagued a little bit, kind of like a little bit of BB Can 8 syndrome with 3 people walking. Now, some of it, was like family emergency stuff. So obviously, you have to do what you need to do. But I remember just that kind of like deflated me a little bit even further when the show started, was starting, no live feeds, and then all these walks. It was kind of weird. But yeah, another person that I think of fondly is Daniel. Puya and I actually played Sequester Winners at War with him way back in those days, those pandemic days. So
Yeah.
it was really, really crazy to get to know him, online and over Twitter over the years. And then his face just pops up in the cast room. I'm like, oh my God, like this is insane. So I was really glad to see him not only get cast, but do pretty well, claim in 3rd place. So
All the way to the final night.
And some excitement popping up for BB Can 11 now, or after BB Can 12, when the dots were connected between the 2 seasons, between the 2 most recent winners, and the information came out from Bailey or from Ty that there had been a connection, that they had been previously in a relationship, and like that might have been the reason that Bailey didn't end up getting on BB Can 11. Next thing you know, she's on 12, and now both of them walk away as winners. So when you're looking at again the overall history of the show and the characters that are involved in it, to have that be the parallel stories between the 2 of them is very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that brings us to BB Can 12, where we found out that there's going to be 2 returnees this season. We had Spicy V from BB Can 9 and the aforementioned Anthony Douglas from BB Can 7. I feel like I personally have said this before. I don't love when it's 2 returnees and all new newbies. The newbies get decimated. That definitely felt like it was the vibe this season. But underreported story, this was a pretty fun season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there was so many, like the newbies were making so many just weird yet interesting and entertaining mistakes surrounding their game with the 2 returnees. It was at first I was because Spicy V can be a bit of a polarizing character. I tend to sort of not always enjoy her too much on feeds, but like towards the end of her time in the house, it was definitely amazing to see her, and I was all aboard the train. I was like, okay, bring her back next season again. Like this is fantastic TV. And to get to watch Anthony come back, given all the things that he had been going through in his personal life, to get the chance to live a dream again. Did he end up, winning the whole thing? No, but I do think that it was still like his game was still very massively impressive, and just another case study. And like, what does it really take to sometimes to manage a jury? Like, what does that look like for your game, for your specific jury? So I think having someone to juxtapose Paul with now is kind of just an interesting takeaway.
Yeah. I mean, it's no easy feat to get to the final 2. No easy feat. We're talking again. These are shows in Canada, 69 days. Nice. That's a lot of days. To do that twice isn't easy, but also goes to show that just because you get there doesn't mean you've necessarily learned how to seal the deal with the jury, which I think is a whole other game you have to play as well.
Yeah.
So that means that Anthony's been in the Big Brother Canada house the longest out of anybody, right?
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, because Aika went very early in BB Can 2. There's not a lot of returnees, so this actually be easy to figure out. There's not a lot of returnees there. Kevin goes out around triple eviction 3, then stays all the way at the end.
It has to be Anthony.
It has to be him. They
unless
can't be anybody
unless
else.
we're forgetting someone super obvious.
Yeah.
But the season, being around based around these two returnees and watching how they were going to navigate through the season, they were working so well together. And then eventually you have this scenario where Victoria has the power. Seems like Anthony, she's got, the numbers on her side, while Anthony doesn't have as much. He's losing Matt, he's losing people that would work with him. And then when Victoria somehow decimates her own side, Kayla's gone, Avery's gone, and Victoria's up against, they're like sharing some people in the middle, the Bailey and Todd group. The final five situation with Victoria and Anthony, not only like the blow up that happens, a glass getting smashed, like nobody got hurt, and the screaming from one side of the house to the other, the emotions that went into that. That's what makes Big Brother, like people being that emotional and fired up and getting into that. Like, again, everybody was safe. the glass was something, but that was insane. And then the ending being this fan favorite that, I don't know, pretty universally beloved by people that were actually watching, and Bailey going on to getting the win. It was like a no-lose situation in that final two, where Anthony either gets rewarded. I mean, I know, Anthony has his detractors for the way that he plays the game, but either Anthony gets rewarded for, 2 seasons of dominant gameplay, not going on the block unless forced on by, the final round kind of deal. Or Bailey, again, who was like a fan favorite, persevered all season, did her Paris type speech in the final two. I can prove that, what did she say? Girls as play is too. Like, she had the speech, she had it all down.
Great
And,
ending line.
Even though you and I, Puya, were watching it from, a phone, from a Twitter feed, inside a dark,
we're watching the Survivor recap after the live show in Chicago,
yeah.
and Matt was feeding me updates of like, okay, Anthony cut Lexus. What?
Right. Like, taking everything to not scream in the middle of a live podcast.
Yeah.
Like, this is BB Cam. Like, the exciting stuff happens here. It was crazy.
For sure.
It was incredible. It was it was a fun journey. I will say a good winner. If the show never comes back, a good end, or like final two to end it on, a good final episode to end it on. But like many have said on this panel here tonight, I feel like there's a world that comes back. To your point, Aman, someone else could pick it up. I feel like today's tweet really felt like they don't expect to be brought back for a little bit at least. Right. So we'll see where it goes. I feel like absence does make the heart grow fonder. So I think potentially, if ever there's rumors of it coming back, that'll draw up some more excitement. We'll see where we go from there as we look all eyes into Big Brother US 26, which is around the corner. We're less than 3 weeks away here from it now. So we'll see if that keeps us going, if that satisfies the absence left in our hearts here with Big Brother. But this was a very fun journey.
Just a fun little factoid. I did a little bit of math real quick. So yes, it is Anthony being the one that lasted the longest in the Big Brother Canada house for 138 days. And then I think it's followed by Netta Kalantar at 118. And then Bruno at 105, followed by Kevin at 104. So
wow.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I mean, outside of BB Can 5, where are the rest of the returnees?
Yeah.
It's 5 and then the 2 on 12, right? I don't think there's been any other returnees.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to count like BB Can 4 with their original Big Brother seasons, Tim probably has the lead there, but that
don't count. That don't count.
Yeah. Aman, I was going to say, you had a tweet today about the OG days of American Idol. I mean, American Idol, a show that famously got canceled on its own on one network and comes back on another very popular network. So
I feel like
is there.
My thing though with American Idol, and obviously I could be wrong, so if I'm wrong, feel free to yell at me that I'm wrong, y'all.
Lavina will let you know.
American Idol went by the way of Twinkies, where Twinkies were removed and everyone's like, man, we need them back. Bring them back. Bring them. And then people brought them back and everyone's like, okay. It's there. Because I don't hear anybody talking about American Idol like that. Outside, if you're not Brandon Donlin.
Because there's such, like I said, there's so many singing competition shows these days that American Idol coming back when you already have The Voice, you have The Four, you have whatever else is out there now. Like, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But with Big Brother, it's so novel and like, I think that this coming back, at least down here in the States, like if they want to make more, if it's not like a profitable thing for them up there to like continue the show, then make it available here in the States as well. Like the way that we make our things available. I know that America is sort of like the entertainment capital of the world. So I get that we kind of just force all of our entertainment on other countries, but like we would pay. I really think that at least American fans of Big Brother Canada, I think would pay to watch Big Brother Canada feeds. Make it happen. I would pay for it.
And if they don't pay, and if you don't know whether they're going to pay or not, I mean, you're already filming the stuff. Just throw the feed on, and then turn it off when you don't want us to see a thing. You know. Anyway, it's easy. Listen, before we head out here, I have 2 plugs to make for RHAP, and then Aman and Matt as the final two that have remained on this podcast. You both get to plug your stuff as well. So that's your reward here. We have 2 things coming up next week on RHAP. Number 1, if you're looking for some Big Brother content, the Big Brother Family Feud. Taran's doing this game series where they did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire last week. Big Brother Family Feud coming in Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So be on the lookout for that. And if you are a patron, you get the little special cheeky treat Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern to the patrons only. There will be a Survivor 50 draft with myself and some of the drafters and Rob, where we are drafting our predictions for season 50. Every survivor that's ever played is on the board and available for you to pick. And I think the ruling is by the time 50 rolls out, whoever had the most correct wins. I don't know, but if you're a patron, be sure to check that out. The survey for the Big Brother Family Feud should be on the RHAP Twitter account. If you're going to go looking to fill that out, go ahead and do so. Find me on Twitter at Puyism. Find me on twitch.tv/Puya. We'll be live actually at 10 p.m. tonight doing a thing, so check me out there. Aman, where can people find you? What you got going on?
You can find me everywhere at Aman Adwin. Of course, I will be here all summer long for Big Brother 26. I'm so excited. I'm sure the draft podcast is coming up in the next coming weeks. I plan to win. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can also follow the Drag Race podcast. We are currently covering All Stars 9 with Liana and Beth. So you can check us out over there as well. And then, I'll let Matt say what he would like to.
And Matt, go ahead.
What Aman is referring to is we both teased separately. We have a little project coming out in the near future, and leave a little bit to the imagination for now, but it does involve the world of Big Brother and maybe even the world of Big Brother Canada. So more on that soon as we get our ducks in a row, our Big Brother ducks. But in the meantime, I'm podcasting away on the Free Agents podcast about the challenge. We just wrapped up the GOAT, and also very excited for the upcoming not BB Can, unfortunately, BB 26 season to get into all of that with these new house guests. It seems like a whole new group. And of course, final thoughts, just very sad that today's news has come as it is, and hopeful that it is not goodbye forever, at the very least for the show, but also for one last shout out, I would feel like my last words being used anywhere else would not feel right. The biggest shout out of all to, of course, Arissa, where the whole show, the experience is because of her for me, and I think a lot of other fans. And I can't wait to see what's next for her. If it's not this, I'm sure it's going to be something as well that's big and amazing, and I can't wait for that. So that's the final plug for whatever is next for Arissa. I will be there. We will all be there, and I can't wait. So.
Ready to go. Thank you, everyone, for spending your time here with us here today. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back soon with some more coverage of the other Big Brother franchises. But until then, take care. Have a good one. Bye.